Hearing about other people's dreams is one of the most boring things on the planet, and still, whenever I have the luxury of remembering one especially bad, I rush to tell my boyfriend or text my friends about it. When you try to put words to the thoughts, though, you neuter the entire thing. It was you, but it wasn't really you, is maybe the best way to get someone to tune out of your story. It takes all the air out of the balloon. But at its core, is it not one of the scariest things imaginable, just on its own? How can something approximate you or home or anything without being that thing? There's something lost in the translation of it all. The etymological Arabic root of to translate means to kill, to curse, to stone. Translating your dreams through words into the real world is effectively to kill the dream, to curse it to be misunderstood. Dreams in that way are a Platonic form. The Platonic forms cannot be defined by words, yet we understand their essence. We know what constitutes a chair in our minds, but can you define chairness with words? Answer, no, you can't. That's the point. There's no way to encapsulate the entirety of chairness in a simple verbal definition. You see a chair, and you merely understand that it is a chair. Dreams transcend verbal understanding. Today, Richard told me to drop everything and watch the Avatar episode of How To with John Wilson, and I did. I was feeling stuck on this essay and did my usual procrastination by running errands. I picked up my mom's night guard from the dentist. I went to 2 grocery stores, mailed something to Richard, and even dropped off some jeans at the tailor. To write on art, you always have to find your entry point, some sort of foothold jutting off the crag of it that allows you to reach the summit or something. I don't usually have the ability to stop what I'm doing and watch 29 minutes of television, but just this once, I desperately chased the muse. The formal title for this episode, I discovered, is How to Remember Your Dreams. John Wilson discusses how incredible it is that people can take things from their dreams and turn them into real-life inventions. Is that not the role of the artist? To grab things from the realm of dreams, the place where the forms exist, and to bring them into our plane of existence, beautiful, new, captivating? January came to me in a dream, beckons the first line of The Soft Ache in the Moon. Off we go! Have you ever yearned for someone so bad that you became omnipotent? My favorite dreams are the ones where I could fly. For about a year in high school, I was able to lucid dream or control my dreams. Every single time I realized I was in a dream, I would take off flying just about anywhere I could. In these dreams, Edward takes us to, it seems like we're flying. He's shards of pink moon rock blown about Studio City, Palm Springs, and Joshua Tree. On the ghost electricity track, off to see the world, we soar through the clouds on wings of love. We meet Freud on a beach, 1 track, 2 names, 2 albums. A decidedly Jungian space. Sometimes our dreams deliver us messages we need to hear. Edwards is not getting to hear what the late father of psychotherapy has to say to him. Not because he's tuning him out, though, but because the Austrian academic is sun-drunk and happy. Then we sink down to the river Styx on Benzedrine, where the line between dreams and death gets increasingly blurry. It's all flying fish, orange peels, floods of love, then the darkness of a tomb. This is one of the points in which we see that Soft Ache and Ghost Electricity are in conversation with each other. We get a call back to January when Edwards cries out, "I have been feeling your ghost, lassoed from the moon, blowing west from a coast." Those little pink shards of moon rock find their way back to the dreamer, flat on his back, reading dreams out of skulls. It's as if the romance has been sucked out of the dreams, and he sits there like the king of hell, reading these fantasies like dry newspaper columns out of the poor souls who had the misfortune of ending up down there with him. You can't help but feel sympathy for the devil. Even if he is the king of hell, he can never leave. I imagine being mostly homebound due to years of illness is the same thing. Why was Richard referring to the Dreams episode of John Wilson's show as the Avatar episode? I only figured out which episode it was by Googling which is the Avatar episode of John Wilson at Season 2, Episode 5. The answer doesn't really become clear until the last third. His research on dreams leads him to fantasy, which leads him to a comic shop, which leads him to an Avatar fan meetup in what looks to be a small hotel conference room. A group of super fans of James Cameron's Avatar movies gets together to eat blue food, speak the Na'vi language, and watch and discuss the film with 3D glasses. The participants have a philosophical discussion about the mechanics of the world of Avatar and try to work through the central device of the film. A paraplegic man named Jake Sully is given an avatar via a remote-controlled Na'vi body to go to the planet of Pandora during a large-scale war. Through this, he falls in love with the Na'vi and their way of life and sheds all connection to his life on Earth to become part of their world. The discussion between these fans turns to the relationship between this escape and ableism. Does Sully's opportunity to escape his disability and chase happiness as a Na'vi ultimately point to ableist views? Does it mean his disability is a weakness? The sole on-camera self-identified female and disabled person in the group chimes in to say that in her view, any disabled person would jump at the opportunity to experience life in a perfectly functioning body after being stuck in their condition. When you first see this group of superfans, the high schooler in you wants to laugh a little. By the end of your 10 minutes with them, you see the beauty in their passion and in everything around you. The gulf between on paper and in practice grows. We get bored going to the same 9 to 5 every day. Can you imagine being stuck in one place in a body that seems to be conspiring against you? Ironically, Soft Ache and Ghost Electricity are Richard's most embodied works. Lately, I do nothing but listen to my body. He once explained that he tried writing these melodies while moving, standing up, instead of seated as many songwriters do. This led to songs that felt intuitive in a new way. I think that especially for someone so at war with his own body, this admission is illuminating. There's an erasure of the middleman here, which for lack of a better term is the mind. The physical body controls the wordless parts of the music, the melodies, the beat, the feeling. The head, unfiltered, spits out the rest, the forms and the ideas that wrap themselves around the words he sings. This is the way the dreams come through in a way that we don't turn away from. They escape the filter of the conscious mind and tumble out entirely pure. On Soft Ache, we hear a man more in command of his voice than ever before. He flies through the different vocal registers like it's nothing. The timbre is clear as a bell, even as the notes climb higher and higher out of the chest and into the echoes of the skull. On Ghost Electricity, I can hear his body fighting back. What sounded effortless only an album prior sounds like a man who's gone 10 rounds but refuses to back down, even if one eye is swollen shut and a tooth or two has been swallowed. What was once loud is now soft. This is not to say that one vocal performance is better than the other. On the contrary, this is an artist allowing the full range of what he can convey to us come through, unafraid of each point in his hero's journey, be it the nadir or the boon. Taken as a whole, it's a Homeric epic of the spirit, be it the Holy Spirit or l'Esprit de Richard Edwards. The dreams of his lyrics stretch beyond the confines of his Indianapolis home, which I see the inside of weekly via his Instagram stories. The acoustic guitar lines, the sizzle of the drums, the haunting backing vocals, they're all ways for Edwards to escape his own body. The songs are his astral projection, taking us to Pismo Beach, to Switzerland, Chicago, hell, the early 1900s, to the club with John Wall. Perhaps my favorite of these is the old projection booth in his screenplay for Cecil and Adina. Richard and I bonded through our all-consuming love of the movies, both see the romance and danger in old nitrate prints. Like a ghost, Richard slips into the body of a film projectionist, drinking on perhaps the greatest job in the world. Mellow my mind, we can be the best of friends. In your arms I'll be nothing, that's how I get free. He drifts into dreams of the Leo Carrillo shoreline, sea breeze and short cakes. Sailing across the ocean of time, he drops in a quick phantom thread reference, only to return us to the most romantic thing my stupid cinephile mind can think of, which becomes the endless loop of this hazy black and white death dream. Bacall, forever fall where nitrates hissing, and bogies on tiptoes kissing, soundtracked to sirens hissing, then pop. The most romantic thing about nitrate film is the reason it's no longer typically used for projection. It can burn and ignite. The projectionist, so lost in the beautiful escape of one of the greatest real-life couples to work together, happily and drunkenly succumbs to smoke inhalation. All in the warm glow of bogey and bacall, mellow my mind one last time, darling, you. And like a ghost, Richard slips out of this one. The death is not his own. He tries it on like a vintage coat. There's a part of him that wants it desperately to be free from stomachs and confinement. A bigger part of him knows it's not the right time yet, and that this particular piece, beautiful and tender as it is not intended for him. People believe mediums have special access to a world that us regular folk cannot see or hear. They believe that prophets have special access to the Word of God. Jake Sully has access to the Navi, I guess. Richard Edwards has access to the Jungian pool of the collective unconscious, to the place where the forms live. Like Odysseus, he's able to dip into Hades and return with his life and the stories he's collected. He's been granted access to the being John Malkovich door where he can enter his dreams, and all of ours to collect those stories we don't know how to tell, the ones that evade all verbal structure. To answer one of my earlier rhetorical questions, that's the job of the storyteller. To wrap one's arms around these protean ideas, to absorb the things and translate them into something tangible. And like Odysseus, I hope that once he's done exploring that velvet ocean, he can find his way back to Earth, out his front door, and beyond the porch with the projector and the screen on it.